Hello everybody, kia ora, and welcome to this video about the astrological energies affecting us over the week from Saturday the 21st of December, summer solstice, until Sunday the 29th of December. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar, and in this video we're talking about astrology, Western tropical astrology, but from the point of view of the Southern Hemisphere, especially New Zealand and Australia. As many of you know, I make a calendar. So it's an astrology calendar. There's an edition for Australia and an edition for New Zealand. It's got a lot of information in it. I've packed a lot of information onto each page. You can see there's descriptions of the characteristics of the sign, there's affirmations, there's meditation prompts, but probably the two biggest things is that the lunar cycle is set out visually so you can see what the moon is doing, that dance between the sun and moon. And there's almost daily transits, like lists of things that are going on, these aspects that I talk about in the videos. And more, there's more than that. So let's get into the astrology of this week. It's a big week in terms of it's Christmas, of course, and it's the summer solstice. And I'm going to do an analysis of the summer solstice chart because that sets the tone for the next 3 months. And we've got Jupiter Saturn square right on Christmas Day. So let's get into it. So looking at the moon phase that we're in, we had the full moon in Gemini on the 15th, and then, was it the 16th? Anyway, last week. And then the energy will diminish, the light will gradually wane, and the power of that moon will gradually diminish until we come to the last quarter moon, where the moon will appear as a half circle in the sky. And that's on Monday, the 23rd of December at 1 degree Libra, very close to the south node actually. And that half moon, it's square to the sun, and that gives us a feeling of tension that can drive us forward to get things done, the things that we need to complete for the month. It can be a really productive time. Okay. And then on Tuesday, the 31st of December, so that's outside the scope of this video, but just to let you know when the next new moon is. This is on the 31st of December, giving us a fresh start for the new year. And after the new moon, when it's the dark of the moon, a few days later, a couple of days later, you'll see that new crescent in the sky, which is always beautiful. And that's time to get started on some of your new year and new moon plans. So, talking about the main events this week, on Saturday, the day that this video is released, the 21st of September, we've got summer solstice, and that is at 0 degrees of Capricorn, bringing us, or showing us, reminding us about the fullness of energy and light and vitality that summer brings. The sun has come to its furthest point in the Southern Hemisphere that it ever does. 23 degrees latitude, that's not an astrological degree, 23 degrees latitude, and that is 0 degrees of Capricorn, and that is partly how this Western tropical astrology is set out according to the tropics, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, where the sun is on the day of the solstice. So I hope you have a chance to celebrate that, even as you're just going around in your normal life, to notice the beautiful abundance of the plants and the trees and the hot summer and the sky. Yeah. Everything's bursting, and it's wonderful. And then on Christmas Day, we have the second of 3 significant and important squares between Saturn and Jupiter. And I've done a really big in-depth video about this, and it's coming out on the same day as this video that you're watching now, and that is with my astrology teacher Ksenia, and we go right into depth with the Jupiter Saturn square, this being the second one of 3, and talking about that the journey of Saturn and Jupiter, where they joined up in end of 2020, and that was also at the solstice. And I think that's kind of significant that they are making these aspects very close to solstice. And the next one is also near the winter solstice in June. That's the final of the 3 squares. But yeah, so we're under this energy in the few weeks building up to the exact point on Christmas Day. And we've got with Saturn the theme of contraction and restriction, the no, the edges, the boundaries. Whereas with Jupiter, we want to expand. And these two, yeah, they're really like opposites. Jupiter wants to expand and to believe that things can be better and greater and have higher meaning and higher purpose. And Saturn is about reality and being sensible and adulting and dutiful, doing our duties and working hard for the long term. And when we can bring these together, that is very powerful. But something started after December of 2020 when they came together in a conjunction. Something would have started in your life, not straight away, but in the months that followed that. Something big. That could be a project or a journey for the next 20 years, because it's a 20-year cycle with these two. And with this square, which we also had in August, and this is the second one, so this year and up to June next year, we are under the influence of that square. It's a testing point where things maybe are now being challenged with that new project and that new journey that we're on. And we're having to work through challenges and work through blocks and barriers to get to the other side and move on to the next phase. So good luck with whatever that is. Have a think back to the last few years and what has been a big thing that you've started in that time. For me, it's the calendar, doing my sun and moon calendar. That's been this big creative journey. I didn't plan to do it. It kind of came out of nowhere that suddenly out of the blue, I suddenly had this inspiration to do it, and I think that was part of the Jupiter-Saturn cycle and my journey in it. So there'll be something big for you that's developing. Okay, and I will mention on Monday the 16th, so that's the last Monday, Mercury turned direct. We're still in the shadow of Mercury until early January, but you will be finding, I hope, that things are moving forward more smoothly in some ways, at least with your communications and plans and maybe some of your tech stuff, your digital technology or machinery, because Mercury retrograde makes that hard, and now things should be getting sorted out and moving forward. But having said that, we are still under Mars retrograde, and that lasts a long time until the 24th of February. And that might feel like we're trying to drive forward and we can't. We can't make progress. It's not working. We're reviewing the ways that we do that. We're reviewing the ways that we take action in the world, the ways that we fight for things, and the ways that we drive forward. So despite Mercury going forward, we're still under that, and I think that this can blend in with that barrier that Saturn is giving to Jupiter as well. Okay, so those are the dates for Mars retrograde there. And I'll briefly mention the planetary placements where everybody in our skies is up to at the moment. I sometimes do this, so there's a little bit of repetition, but it's good to remind ourselves. The Sun from the 21st of December until the 20th of January is in Capricorn. Capricorn is a serious sign, a sign of hard work and long-term goals and mastery and being responsible and taking care of others through that responsibility and strong sense of duty. Okay, Mercury is still in Sagittarius. It's a really long time for Mercury to be in Sagittarius because Mercury is a quick one. It's a quick planet, but because of its retrograde, it's got 2 months in Sagittarius, and that is helping us to talk about plan for and remember the details of some of our big adventures that we want to do, our quests for meaning, and our exploring of other cultures, other lands, and great ideas in our mind, our philosophy. Venus is in Aquarius, bringing the idea of partnership, friendly relations, and one-to-one partnership, and also perhaps some money, some sweetness, some comfort and pleasure to the Aquarian part of our skies. And Aquarius is, of course, pretty powerful these days because we've got Pluto in there now. Aquarius is about humanity, the masses, grassroots organizations, and new technology, especially where that technology is a new innovation that can help large groups of people. Okay, and we've got Mars in Leo for a very long time. It normally takes Mars normally takes maybe 6 weeks in each sign, but it is in Leo for quite a while because it's going retrograde in Leo, but then it will go back into Cancer. So 2 months in Leo, then it will retrograde back into Cancer. And Mars in Leo is quite happy, though the retrograde is not easy, and we have the opposition to Pluto coming up early January. And Jupiter is in Gemini, and it's bringing us some luck in the Gemini areas of our charts. And of course, Jupiter is currently square to Saturn. Saturn is making things challenging and hard, and we're having to restructure the ways we think about water, mental health, retreat areas, hospitals, prisons, but also in our personal lives, some of our spirituality, our creativity, and our dreams and imagination. And Uranus is in Taurus. At the very end of Taurus, it's going to move into Gemini next year after 7 years in the sign of Taurus. And it's likely to be doing some final disruptions before it moves. And Neptune is in the sign of Pisces, making us even more dreamy and mystical and imaginative in the Pisces part of our charts. Also making things confusing in terms of water and mental health. And Neptune is moving into Aries next year. It's going to be a really significant planet in 2025. And of course, Pluto in Aquarius, newly moved in, transforming slowly over the next 20 years, Aquarian things, technology, groups of people. Okay. All right, so this week's aspects and transits one by one. On Friday, the 20th of December, I know that was yesterday, but it was such a lovely one. I want to mention it again, and that is Venus trine Jupiter. We'll have a bit of that energy moving into the Saturday and affecting the summer solstice, so that's lovely. And then on Saturday, the 21st of December, the sun enters Capricorn. That is the summer solstice, that moment where the sun enters it. So that is a lovely time to celebrate the fullness of life, the summer sun, vitality, and abundance. And then on Monday, the 23rd, we've got the last quarter moon, and that's in the sign of Libra. So it's a chance to work harmoniously with others, perhaps in a one-to-one way, to complete your month's tasks. And then on Christmas Day, Jupiter square to Saturn. And this is, I just did a little sentence there. This has been in the few weeks leading up to this point, and it will tail off after this. We won't feel it quite as intensely, except we've got the Mars retrograde, so they can still feel like we're doing things in a slow and challenging way. But what I said was it could feel like we've been wading through the mud towards our big projects and our expansive ideas. Okay, and then on Friday the 27th, we've got Mercury opposite Jupiter, and that is for the third and final time. This happened twice before because of Mercury's retrograde. And this has been all about how these two in mutual reception. Mercury is about the details and the arrangements, and Jupiter is about the big picture and the expansive optimism. And all along this opposition, especially because the signs are about that too. Gemini, where Jupiter is about the details, and Sagittarius is about the big picture. So how do we integrate and do the best for the details and for the big, great picture? And then Mercury is square to Saturn. So all of this is a T-square. We have got Mercury and Jupiter, and then Saturn squaring. And this is a strong energy as part of that summer solstice chart. Yeah. So there can feel like there are limits and barriers to our ideas and our communication, despite Mercury now being forward. So that's not necessarily easy. So be patient with that through that transit. Okay, and then we've got Venus square to Uranus on Saturday the 28th, and they're both in the fixed signs, Venus in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. So that might feel like in Venus matters like love and romance and pleasure, the pleasure of life. We might feel there's a restlessness, a disruption, like maybe we've had enough, we just want to escape. This might feel like we've kind of had enough. If you celebrate Christmas, it might feel like we've just had enough of the pleasures of Christmas. We've had enough rich food. We've had enough of sitting around, eating, talking, drinking, whatever it is that you do. And we just need to get out of that situation and maybe, I don't know, go for a good hard walk, get some exercise, get a bit of freedom. Okay, and then looking ahead to Monday, we've got Chiron stationing direct. And the reason I mentioned that is because that will be playing into that new moon in Capricorn that we've got on the 31st. Okay. So now I'm going to do a bit of an analysis of the solstice chart. When it's the summer solstice or the winter solstice, they say that the veils between the energetic realm and the reality here on earth, that the veils between, or heaven and earth, however you want to call it, that the veils are thinner and we can access our intuition or insights from above or from within more easily. This time, the solstice, and the chart of the solstice can set a tone or a background energy for the next 3 months before leading up to the autumn equinox or the March equinox. So let's have a look at what's going on with the solstice chart. So you can see on the chart there where I've circled, if you can see, it's quite small, but the sun is at 0 degrees exactly of Capricorn, and that is the summer solstice. That's how astrology works, this form of astrology, that at the solstice the sun is at 0 degrees of Capricorn. So it's right over the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. And one of the most significant aspects of this chart is a T-square. And that is because the sun is halfway between the two nodes, the south node in Libra and the north node in Aries. And with the north node in Aries, we've got very close by Neptune in a different sign, but only a few degrees. Okay, so that's a T-square. Now with the north node in Aries, which is nearly coming to an end, that's been about for the last 18 months or nearly 18 months, it's going to move into Pisces because the nodes move backwards. They don't move the same way that the other planets and points do. Okay, so Aries has been about, the eclipses in Aries have been about getting us to move towards being more independent and entrepreneurial and direct and blunt and following our gut instinct. And the South Node in Libra, that's been more about, the South Node is where we're letting go, what we're letting go of. And the eclipses have been in Libra as well. And that's been helping us to let go of some of the downsides of Libra. Libra is a beautiful, harmonious, peaceful sign that loves beauty and aesthetics. But the downside of Libra is getting too caught up in being peaceful, being too diplomatic, and actually not being able to tell the truth so much because you're trying to be so diplomatic, and people pleasing. So we're trying to leave that behind. So some of that that axis between speaking your mind and being direct and being truthful with that, even when it bothers others don't like it, versus trying to keep the peace and being harmonious. Some of that axis of challenge and tension could be highlighted at the solstice. Okay. And then there's another T-square operating at the same time. And a T-square is not easy. We've got two squares and an opposition with a T-square. We've got the Saturn-Jupiter square. And at the very exactly is the moon opposite Saturn. Okay. The moon is in Virgo. There's a lot in this chart that's about details. And there's a lot in this chart about, I do think that that something big that we're aiming for, and big and wonderful, that's challenged because of the Saturn square Jupiter and because of these oppositions and T-squares in general. There's a lot about detail with that Jupiter-Mercury opposition, okay, remembering the details, and also the moon in Virgo. Virgo is very about the details and analysis. And we might need to remember about the details also because of Jupiter being in Gemini. And Gemini is also about details. Okay. All right. And we also have pretty close by the opposition between Mars and Pluto. And that's going to become exact after the solstice. And yeah, that is challenging. It's challenging, but at the same time, it's in a sextile to the nodes of fate, the north node and the south node. So there's two oppositions there. So we've got this mystic rectangle, and I'll show you an illustration. A mystic rectangle is a mixture of two oppositions, two sextiles, and two trines. And there's a feeling with a mystic rectangle that we've got a lot to work through, but there's support for it. So trines and sextiles give us support. They make things easier and more flowing. But there's these challenges of these oppositions to work through. So my feeling with this summer solstice chart in general is that we do have a lot to work through. We've got some big and wonderful, expansive goals, but we are at the stage of meeting a lot of the challenges with those goals, to do with the details, but also to do with the reality checking reality. Okay. And just another mention with Pluto. Pluto being at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and that being the very point where Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct at the end of 2020 at the summer solstice. I think that that's really significant. So that Aquarius is going to be a big part, and the air sign energy. So that's all the technology and possibly outer space stuff, things being really way out and new and innovative, and that's a really big theme next year with some of the other stuff going on. Okay. And finally, we do have some extra help because of that Venus trine Jupiter aspect that happens just a day before the solstice. So I think that will bring some sweetness and lovely energy to the day and to the energy of that chart going forward. So that's nice. There we go, everybody. That's all from me this week. Remember to order your Sun and Moon calendar from sunandmooncalendar.com and have a wonderful solstice. Celebrate the fullness of life. Despite the challenges of life, we can remember that we are so blessed with the abundance of the plants, the animals, the beautiful sky, the beautiful earth that we live on, and our beautiful selves, all our messy but wonderful humanity. So go well, and if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas and Happy Solstice.